Hi Pommie, it's your girl Pom Pom and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a lot of shadow work questions. Since last time and my last video, I realized that was not the trajectory I wanted my YouTube channel to have. I want more open, heart-to-heart conversations with you. So it's just gonna be me responding to some shadow work questions, and I am pretty sure that in some things we could relate to one another. Let's get it. So I'm bringing my little iPad and we're going to be responding to the questions. So today I want to talk about childhood. For me, that's the question not to ask me. Like, you can ask me anything. Well, when you tell me, oh, what about your childhood? Okay, don't go there. Like, that's the rabbit hole of all of the trauma and all of the bad things that really happened to me. Like, that's where they're located. So it's never an easy conversation. I want to heal with you. I want to grow with you, Pommie. Like, I want us to grow together, hand in hand, with one another. So I think that responding to these questions and facing our traumas head first sometimes and just saying, you know what, this is what it is, and trying to get better is absolutely, I was about to say absolutely important and absolutely necessary. What the hell is going on? So the first question is, who am I now? Okay. So right now, I'm going to call myself Pom Pom because it's what I call myself in here. But my real name is Jara, so you can keep that in mind if you like it. So my name is Pom Pom. And I am 22 now. I'm finally 22 years old. I am, I'm already struggling. I am a kind person. I am really empathetic. I love to give. I love to give to a limit. You know what I mean? There is a limit to it. I'm not an over giver. Like, I know when to say, you know what, enough, my brother, enough, sister. So I am a giver. I am someone that has a lot of dreams. I'm someone that is really creative, and I had to sit down a few days ago and think about, like, when I was a kid, how much books I was reading. I could read, like, when I was like probably 8 years old, those like 72 books, 72 pages books, I could read them like this. Like I'm starting, I'm finishing, and I'm opening another one. Like, I've always had this thing with, like, writing poems, creating choreographies when I was a kid. Like, I've always been that real creative child. But that's who I was. Like that's not the question. We're talking about who I am now. So right now, I would say that I'm creative, but I'm kind of like gonna say that I am letting that part of me sleep a little, and that's pissing me off because I realize, like, oh my god, I can do so many things. Like, I truly, probably, like, we can be doing so many things, but because we're age 24 on that phone, always on that phone, always trying to dissociate, always trying to escape our realities, that we're not actually doing the things that nurture our souls in a way, doing the things that makes us happy, and going out and talking to people. That's a whole other conversation. But who am I now? I am someone that is super what I used to think introverted. I disagree with myself. I'm not introverted. I am just insecure. That's a crazy thing to say out loud. We're getting deep. You and I here, we're getting deep and real. I was a few days ago with my boyfriend's friends, and they organized some kind of like D&D game. It was the first time for me. Like, that was a bit out of my element, and I love to stay home. I don't like to talk to people that I don't really know. The whole time, if I can tell you what I was feeling, I was judging myself. You're not speaking enough. They won't like you probably because you're black, which is the craziest statement. Like, I would never say that. Like, I am not the kind of person to say, you know what, because of my skin color. I'm not that kind of person. But for some reason, like, that was like, my brain was trying to create reasons why they must dislike me, why they should hate me, why, like, I should not speak to them because they hate me already. it was kind of like a way of protecting myself from getting a negative response, meaning like by not trying to talk to them, by not trying to say anything, I'm safe, because then if like they truly actually don't like me, I will never know, because I'm not talking to them either ways, like, and even if I'm not talking, I look at like how they're looking at me, and like if like I ask something, for example, and then like they make a face, I already assume these people really, really dislike me. So I'm realizing that like I am not introverted, because that's who I am. And we're going to talk about who I was in a few. But it's just because I'm really, really insecure. Really, really insecure. I always have this belief that people do not like me. They don't want to talk to me, and they don't want to have anything to do with me. That's crazy. And when I realized it, I was like, I'm making excuses like, oh, they hate me because of the color of my skin. They will hate me because of the color of my skin. They will hate me because I don't speak the language really well. They will hate me because I don't know, because I'm too quiet. They will hate me because I was just creating things in my head just so that I wouldn't try. I wouldn't try to talk to them. Like they wouldn't want to talk to me because when I'm not even trying to talk to them outside of the game that we were playing, because I had to say something. Come on now. But yeah, I'm someone that like is slowly learning to move away from that introverted excuse that I always use. Oh, I'm an introvert. No, you aren't. You aren't. You just assume people don't like you. No, I'm not saying you, Pommie. Maybe you're an introvert. I'm just saying me, in this case. And maybe you can also relate to that. But I'm just assuming that, you know what? People won't like me. People won't want to hear what I have to say. And it's something that I truly, truly need to work on, because it's making my social life like, I've been here in this country because I moved. I've been in this country a year. Ask me how many friends I got. 0, not even 1. 0. I don't have any friends. I don't have anybody I can talk to like every once in a while. Like, that's crazy. Again, who am I now? What can I say? I'm someone that right now is struggling with like, I'm not struggling, actually, I'm kind of struggling, but I am learning to trust myself and learning to take my power back. That, I think I will make a whole video about shadow work questions when it comes to that. But it's kind of like I have this big feeling of being incapable of getting my driver's license, incapable of financial independence, incapable of this, that, and the third. Like I always have this feeling of I need someone, please someone help me do this. And that also comes from the fact that like when I was a child, this is gonna be really paradoxical, but as much as I was like mistreated, bullied, and beaten and all that, that's how much I was protected in a way. Protected. Because like they made me feel incompetent. I wanted to cook. I remember back when I was like much younger, 9, my mother, I hate to call her that, but my birth giver used to say, you know what, you're too young, you're too little, you're gonna burn yourself, like don't go. And then I got and became 14, and I asked again, mom, like everybody's cooking, everybody's learning how to do certain things. From where I'm from, maids are really normal, so we had maids to do that. So she would just let the maids do it and tell me basically, don't worry about it, you're too little. And then afterwards, like I think I started taking the bus by myself at like 17. And knowing the fact that 16 or 17, but knowing the fact that I always had everybody accompanying me, someone accompanying me every time I went out. I wouldn't even cook for myself. I wouldn't wash my own shoes. I wouldn't do anything by myself. I grew up to become this person that like without anybody near me, I don't know what to do. For example, I'm going to give you the best example when it comes to that. If I'm walking around with someone, I turn my brain off. For example, I have the worst way of orientating myself. I don't know how to orientate myself because I never had the need to. I never needed to, because like I was never going out. I was not allowed to go out with friends. I was not allowed to go to birthday parties. I remember going to one birthday party in my whole life, if not the birthday party of my birth giver's friends' kids. Like her friends Their kids, yeah, that I was allowed to go because she was going. But if it was people that I knew, I was never allowed to go, for example. I was never allowed to sleep over. That I completely understand. I don't have a problem with that. Knowing the world that we live in right now, I don't blame them. But I feel like a lot of things was served to me in a way that like I never needed to actually like do the things and learn how to do the things, understand how to do the things. Every single time I feel like I need to grasp on somebody for your life and say, help me, drive me, bring me, help me. I'm trying to learn that, dang, I'm capable. Stop having this mentality of feeling incapable all the time, feeling like you cannot do a certain thing. You cannot take the bus by yourself. I remember taking the bus by myself and having panic attacks. Like literally, I would like stand, and at some point I would just feel like, oof, I'm going. Like I feel like I'm about to faint, and I would like have to, sit down, not sit down on the floor, but I would like have to bend my knees and like kind of like that's absolutely crazy. And from I've been here a year, I think that you can count on like, I'm gonna be generous, 2 hands, the amount of times I went out by myself. I've been here 365 days, more. 365 days and more. I would not go out by myself. I started taking the bus to go out 1 month ago, 2 months ago. Besides that, by myself, I would never go anywhere. I have anxiety when it comes to that. It's like, I am someone right now that still believe that I'm incapable of many things that normal human beings do, like this. Like tell a normal human being to take a bus, like they don't take the bus. Tell a normal human being to, I don't know, like go walk around and like try to get some friends or like socialize. Okay, like it comes natural to me. Those are things where like I need someone to push me, I need someone to help me, I need someone to guide me. And it hurts me a lot also in the financial aspect, since like I've always had that like, someone taking care of me in a way. And also because of the many examples that I've already talked to you about, like about when I felt really incapable of certain things. Now, even financially, I feel still incapable of being my own boss lady and making my own money. And it manifests in my life. I'm not even going to play with you. It does manifest in my life because that's my mindset. That's who I believe I am. I don't feel capable of this. And I'm learning and I'm trying really hard to stop it. And that's going to be a journey that we're going to, have with one another, Pommie. Who am I now? I am someone that if a year ago, 2 years ago, I could have given anything for love. I had this big dependency of like, I need to find someone to love me because I grew up not loved. I grew up like, I could tell, like, for example, when I was a kid, well, a lot of kids were like thinking of, I'm gonna play, I'm gonna go to this person's house, what I was thinking about is, oh, how many times am I gonna get beaten this week? I hated the days where my mother would not go to work because I knew what was gonna happen. She's gonna make up something. Like there is gonna be a reason for why I deserve the beating of my life. And it was super traumatic. I'm not gonna talk about those things right now because I have questions when it comes to that. But it was absolutely horrendous. And I felt like that love that I so deeply wanted, I never got from friends. I never had, like, for example, me when I loved, I used to give everything. I kind of changed with with time. Now I'm a bit more different. But a few years ago, even when I would love with everything. And maybe like in a way I still do. I absolutely still do. I give you my all, like my everything. And I kind of wanted somebody to choose me so much that sometimes I even put pressure on friends that were horrible people back then to choose me, to, like, if we were in a trio, to choose me. Like, stop always wanting to hang out with the other person. Why are you dismissing me? So I always had this thing of like feeling like I was never chosen. Like when I was much younger, boys never asked me out. Like no, even like years ago, like maybe 5 up to when I started getting courted in a way, it was when I started college. Before that, because of this also really like introverted, which is not really introverted personality that I have, nobody dares even come to me to tell me certain things. Like I don't even have that relationship of let's talk, because if somebody tries to talk to me, like I don't understand the fact that they're trying to make friends or they're trying to get something more. I just, you know what, just stay away from me, you know what I mean? So because of that, I was never really courted, I was never chosen, and I was like such a big lover of love, but that was not true. I was just trying to get the love that my parents did not give me, friends did not give me. Never had a boyfriend until I was 20 years old. So think about it. I was just trying to get someone to love me, to be there for me. So that is also something that, oh my goodness, someone was screaming. So yeah, I really wanted that figure, that masculine figure, something, someone, anyone, to care and love me. And that became a thing that like almost put me in many bad situations. But thank God, like I always had the choosing myself. I always like chose myself in a way that like even when I had my first boyfriend, it lasted 5 days because he disrespected me and I left him. Had another boyfriend, lasted 6 days because he disrespected me and I left him. I always had this thing of choosing myself, but also there was this big aspect of like I want love so bad. And what I learned from that is it is really important when people tell you you need to love yourself before you love somebody else. Is important, because if not, you will never be able to choose yourself. You will always be put in the situation of crying and misery all the time because you picked that love over the love that you should be having for yourself. What was I like as a child? Who was Mini Pom Pom? So Mini Pom Pom was creative with like so many ideas, and like I want to create a choreography. I want to participate all the time in school. Like I always had something to say. I loved debates, even with other kids, like or like talking about, oh, if someone was talking, I had something to say. I was really extroverted. It was like this easy for me to make friends, and also really opinionated. I remember back when I was in elementary school, I had this big issue with the girl that like she was kind of like the big leader of the class, and like everybody after that, all the girls of my class ended up hating me because I just wouldn't submit to her, because she wanted us to play Snow White and we would be the slaves and she would be Snow White. I was like, it's not gonna happen like that. And if I'm gonna be a slave to Snow White, that's fucking crazy. She was black, by the way, don't worry about it. But if you want me to be a slave to Snow White, then I'm gonna be the most intelligent slave. I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. And she didn't want that. She was like, you're all equally stupid. You could not do this, you could not do that. I was like, you're not gonna tell me how I'm gonna play the game. After that, we had also many other issues, and after that, all of a sudden, nobody wanted to play with me anymore, none of the girls in the class. So I had to go out and make other friends, and I picked up with other people, older, younger than me. Oh, sometimes I even stayed alone, and that made me a big loner sometimes at times too. But I just had this like peps of life and always had something to say. I used to love singing. I remember I used to love singing. I would try to sing for my friends and be like, do I have a nice voice? I used to love doing that. I used to love reading, like I said. Those are the things that I remember. Writing poems were like my favorite thing. It was my favorite thing to do. I used to love writing poems. I always had a poem to make. Because I remember I did one poem that was so good. My teacher was like, wow, that was amazing. And I remember telling it to my aunt that like, I wrote the poem, she wouldn't believe me. That's when I knew that I was really, really good. And then after that, I had this motivation of always making more poems and making more poems that I all lost. I remember one that I have engraved in my brain. I did not forget that one, but it was amazing. I had my flaws. I remember I had like my not so honest phase. I remember at some point when I entered middle school, because middle school I did in 2 different schools, you know. The first school when I started, I did a lot of bad things. Like, listen to me. So when I said we're getting real. I remember lying about anything and everything. And that's the kids of the neighbor making so much noise right now. And we cannot say anything. So I remember lying a lot. I would lie about anything and everything. I just wanted people's attention so bad. I remember lying about like having powers. And honestly, if you believe that in middle school, you're the problem. I am not. But I remember lying about the craziest thing, and some people would genuinely believe what I had to say. Like, that was crazy. And I also had a face that I'm not proud of at all. I did it around like less than 5 times, where like I took things that weren't mine. And I remember every single time I did it, I had this big fucking, and even mentioning it now, I'm liberating and saying it to the word. I'm liberating shame that I'm holding still when it comes to it. Because like right now, I don't want to ever meet those people that I was in middle school with, because like I don't want them to see me and be like, oh my gosh, you used to lie a lot, or like, oh my gosh, you used to do this and this and that. But this is also an amazing way of like liberating that shame in a way. Like, I used to carry the shame a lot of like taking things that weren't mine, and the effect after that would be like my conscience wouldn't leave me alone. So I just knew that this wasn't for me. Like, this wasn't for me. I hated it, and I hated hating myself after it. So I was like, I'm gonna stop. As a kid also, I liked a lot to protect myself. I did that because it was either lying or getting beaten. And the thing is, like, I would lie, get beaten really bad, and even if I told the truth, I would get beaten too. So at that point, I would rather lie, and by the time I lie and the point where they figured out that I lied, I had a few days of peace before I get beaten really, really, really bad. So that was who I was as a child. Pommie, now we're gonna go to the third question. What are some of the earliest painful memories I have from my childhood, and how do they still live inside me today? Okay, so the earliest childhood painful memories I had were I remember this one. I think that like every time I think about my abuse, I'm gonna start with this one. Like, this is the one I remember the most. I remember I was around 4 to 5 years old, and I was studying and learning how to read. It's like, from where I'm from, like, I don't know about the American system, the European system, but from where I'm from, we learn, I mean, I think it's everywhere. You for example, you learn T first, you learn P, then you learn I, then you learn O. So at that point, I remember it all started with the letter N. So my mother comes to me and goes, you know what, Jara, I want you to read this letter. And I couldn't read it. And then she got super angry. She was teaching me and then getting angrier and angrier. And like, I remember her screaming. At some point, the maid come to intervene. Like, you know what, maybe we should not. She didn't care. She kept on going. And I remember she told me, no, she beat me first. And then she beat me because I couldn't read the letter N. And then after she got super, super, super angry, she decided, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna go upstairs and go take a shower. By the time I finish my shower and I come back, if you cannot read this, you're done. Then she left me in her room, locked me in there, and told me to learn how to read it, and learn it fast. I remember crying my eyes out. And like, because before that I was doing really great at reading the other letters she was showing me. And at some point she comes back down from the shower, then she sees me, and then she tells me read. I remember saying I cannot, like I don't know, etc. And then what she did was to call my repetitor, because I had a repetitor coming home to teach me, and saying, you know what, I'm asking Jara to read this damn letter N and she cannot read it. And then the repetitor is like, oh my god, it's because she hasn't learned it. I haven't taught her that yet. We haven't even arrived there yet. And that was the first and last time I ever got an apology. What sounded like an apology. She told me, I'm your mother, therefore it's bad, even fortune, it's bad luck for you, for me to ask you sorry. But in this case, I'm gonna say I'm sorry. That was the last apology I've ever gotten. So all the other painful memories are gonna be me being burned by my mother. And by burned, what she would do is that she would take a spoon. I don't know if I'm even allowed to describe something so graphic, but she would take a spoon, she would put it on like the fire, and it's really, really hot, and she would just put it on my hand. She would be like, where's your left hand? Because she knew that I would write with my right hand. Where's your left hand? And I would give her my left hand, and she would just burn me. That happened, and I remember that like I would have this big like pimple full of water, like kind of like on my hand. It would be so painful, and then I would have to pop it at some point. The water comes down, and to this day, right now, I have no fucking mark from it, no nothing. And sometimes I kind of wish that a lot of the marks stayed, and I could wear them on my sleeve as in like, look what she's done to me. Because a lot of the things I can do is say, oh, she's done this, she's done that. Those are like really painful memories. I remember the public humiliation. I remember the beating, the banging my head on the floor. I remember the banging my head on the wall. I remember the trying to, like, laying me on the ground, trying to step on me. And I'm talking about when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was years and years and years of abuse. I remember she would make fun of my appearance. She would look at me and go, I don't even know if I'm gonna edit this out or not, because it's just too painful. She would look at me and go, oh, you need to study really well in class. I was like, yeah, why? She was like, because with this face, finding a husband in the future, it's gonna be a lot difficult for you. So study really well and make sure that, you know, you have your own money for the future. She would make faces trying to mimic me and say that that's what I would look like, looking at me and asking me things like, oh, you really think you're pretty? You think you're pretty, right? Oh, she thinks she's pretty. Aww. Stuff like that. And with the smile, like, and I'm doing the smile even though I don't really want to, because that's how she would do it. She would do it with a smile on her face, like she was having the time of her life, making my self-esteem go down. You're dumb, you're stupid, you're stupid, you don't get anything, you're fucking stupid, you're dumb, and you will never get anything in life. Like, I remember that also can be the reason why I feel so incapable when it comes to a lot of times when, like, I was watching a video, this woman saying, you know what, when you tell a kid that God is in the sky, he's gonna believe that God is in the sky. When you tell a kid that, I don't know, the tooth fairy is gonna come to take their tooth, for example, she didn't say that, I don't really remember what she said, they're gonna believe that the tooth fairy is truly gonna come and take their tooth. So believe that when you tell a child that they are stupid and they are dumb and they cannot go anywhere in life and they are this and they are that, I'm just giving you examples, they will believe you. So I grew up and not realizing I was getting abused. I grew up, I had no clue what was happening. I had no clue. All I knew is that I was feeling fear like 97% of the time. Like resting, feeling like cool and like playing, okay, I could do it. But the moment I go home, like I remember like being in school and wishing the school day wouldn't end just because I didn't want to go home. How did I manage to survive in that household? Well, to survive, I made myself really small, okay? So when I was a kid, like I said, never realized the amount of damage or whatever was going on. I didn't know. I just knew that I didn't like it. Now, was it abuse? Was it bad? No, I just thought that like, that was education. Because she used to beat me with like, think about a phone charger, a belt, whatever. Think about it, like heels. And then look at me in the eye and say that like it hurts her more than it hurts me. That sentence like used to piss me off. But it also made me believe that maybe she was doing it for my education, as she swore she would. One thing I realized after I realized that that was abuse is that when you beat your child and you go, don't do it again, don't do it again. That's from someone that maybe like tried many times telling you, you should not be doing this, you should not be doing this, you should not be doing this, and then they take away your phone and you keep doing whatever is dangerous. I can understand it. Don't you dare. What I do not understand, if you're saying that you truly are doing this for my education and you know it's you're just trying to educate me, why do I see such rage in your eyes? Like there is this thing of like, oh my god, this is graphic, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to trauma dump on you, Pommie. But there's a difference between hitting someone like this and then you could see the, you know what I mean? Oh, that made me feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry if I'm triggering you in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just trying to make you understand. Like, Pommie, think about it. If it was truly educational, it wouldn't take this rage and this anger. Sometimes, like, I saw someone that truly hated me, like they wanted to hurt me, someone that had a nasty difficult day at work, and they just wanted a punching ball. That's what it felt like. I didn't feel like, don't do this again, don't you do it, don't you dare, you don't dare. I didn't see that. I saw anger, and I saw rage, and I saw such a tiny little body that had to take all that pain. So it was, let me drink to that. This is orange juice, by the way. So like I was saying, in order to survive, what I ended up doing was, think about it. You know that if you're too friendly, you get effed up. And when you're too quiet, you get effed up too. But a little less than when you're too friendly. When you're too friendly, because you're talking a lot, they always find a way to switch what you're saying, change what you're saying, or find a way to get angry at something. So I'm gonna isolate myself. And I became this big hermit that I am today. I isolated myself from everybody. From them, from people. I think when I think about it, mamma mia, like I am like literally protecting myself from being hurt, to the point where like I isolated myself from the whole world, let's say, the whole world. And I was not realizing that. Like I became this cold person that I'm not. I am not. Like look at me right now. Do I look cold to you? No, but if you met me in real life, you would think I hate you. Not that's absolutely not true. But that's literally me protecting myself from like being vulnerable and being effed if I become vulnerable. So it's a lot of things and a lot of healings that needs to be done. So I survived by being quiet, by keeping to myself and keeping my tongue shut, not telling my business, not telling my dreams and hopes and aspirations, keeping myself away from them. That's how I survived. If you're right now in a situation where, because of, I don't know, parents, friends, family, partner, I don't know, you're feeling trapped and you're feeling in that situation of like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to handle it. The thing is, I cannot give you a specific advice, because listen to me. I kept to myself, and it works sometimes, not all the time. When you're the scapegoat, people will always find a reason, even when you're quiet, to be angry. They are angry maybe because you're too quiet, or they are angry because you forgot to close something. They are angry because, I don't know, they just want to be angry, or because you had a bad grade. So people will find something to blame you, but I'm not going to tell you take the same approach that I took. If you're a golden child, this might not work for you, because if they love you and they already put you in this pedestal, even though the golden child also has its, it has its pros and cons. And for example, what works for my sister is to be lovable and like attached to them. That's who she is. Like she loves them, she's attached to them. If she woke up and was like me, for example, and became like distant and quiet, that would not play in her favor. But for me, being distant and quiet made, for example, if they would scream at me 5 times a week, it made it go down to 2, then down to 1, then maybe once every 2 weeks. Because we were sharing less and less. There was no room for mistake when I'm not speaking to you. You know what I mean? As often. So they would only pick apart anything that they could find, but there was not a lot to find. So they gave me quiet. He gave me quiet, and it was not easy. So that's my advice if you're in this situation. Do whatever works for you. What I'm gonna say though is, do not forget your mental health. Like, it's true that it's difficult to heal in a place where you got broken, but it's important for you to start the little things to start healing. And I promise you, it's gonna feel terrible, because you feel like you're healing, you're feeling happy about like the progress you're making, and all of a sudden, boom, something else happened. They become violent again. Then this happened, then that happened, and you feel like it's a lost cause. Absolutely not. I'm talking about this today, and I talked about really vulnerable stuff. I felt like crying many times, but nothing came out. Before, I remember when I started my healing journey, where I would sit in front of the mirror and just talk to myself. I repeated the stories again and again of the things that hurted me so much that it's difficult for me to cry about it now. It's not difficult, it can happen, but to cry as like, I remember back then just looking at a picture of myself of being younger would make me burst into tears uncontrollably. Like, I wouldn't be able to stop. Prioritize healing, prioritize your mental health, prioritize I don't know, getting out. If you're like they're allowing you to get out as much as you can. Get out as much as you can. Hang out with good people. Don't make your life more miserable than it already is. Don't try to be using substances. Don't try to, I don't know, like, I have to cope, I have to find a way to cope and start doing things that you should not be doing and blaming it on that. Try to make the quality of your life better. My motto has always been, back then I remember, I cannot let other people make my life miserable when I already have people, grown adults that I live with and I'm with every single day, already making it miserable. I have to find better for myself. Then I started cutting off toxic people. I started cutting off toxic friends. I started cutting off boyfriends that started disrespecting me all of a sudden. I want you to have that same level of like self-love when it comes to that. Don't make it harder for yourself than it already is by picking up on bad habits, by hanging out with bad people, or by getting out and trying to get the love that you're not getting from them, from people that you know do not care about you. They just want specific things from you. That's gonna be my advice for you. Pommie, we've talked a lot and I'm telling you, and we're uncovering a lot of things. Why I want to do this kind of video is to encourage healing, encourage sitting down and talking about the things that actually pain you, and also being able to relate. The reason why I don't sit here and tell you about all of the things that I'm doing right and forgetting about the things I'm doing wrong or where I'm struggling is because I'm trying to change this narrative of like people coming in front of their camera and tell you how to succeed without showing you how to succeed, or without showing you their bad days. I want to bring everything to the table when it comes to my channel. I'm still trying to figure out how to do certain things. Like, I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know. I think I'm going to stop here for today, and this is going to be a 2-part video. When like next week, I think you'll be able to see the part 2. So I love you so much, and I'm going to see y'all later.